cut. Here we go.
It's charger. That's charger doesn't like it.
Recording in progress.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30 p.m. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023. This is an executive session for the City Council of Woodland. Mr. Randolph.
Yes, sir. The person is to discuss legal risk of current or proposed action. RCW 42.30.110, parens 1, parens I.
Thank you. And we'll be in executive session until 6:55.
Recording stopped.
Okay, there we go. 6:55.
Oh, it wasn't bad today. There was an accident on 205 bridge that snarled me up for a little while. Welcome to the Northwest. One minor accident just shuts down the entire collective road system we have. So, yeah.
No. Huh? Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd.
That Dixie, that's, I think, almost ancient.
Yeah, that's.
I've got grandkids.
How old do you think I am?
Recording in progress.
The time is now 6:53. We are out of executive session and we'll start the regular session at 7 p.m.
I got 5 minutes.
Recording stopped.
You've got Perfect, 6:59. Thought I was gonna be late.
Just in time.
That's mine. That's
I made
mine.
the mistake of turning this on, now we're installing it.
Oh, of course you are.
Oh, no. Are you fully back to work?
Me? Oh, yeah.
100%?
Sure. No.
Was he ever
I'm-
100%
I'm-
to begin with?
I should be. Well, I'm better, much better now than I was. But I'm still kind of, it still hurts.
Oh,
It's
mine
sti-
still hurts.
It still
I
hurts.
did mine before you, so I get
Yeah.
it.
And I'm almost down to pre-breakage weight. I'm about 3 pounds off. Because I gained like 15 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah. If not a little bit more. All right. Oh, and that is, okay, here we go.
Recording in progress.
There we go. Are you ready, Mrs. Hogan? Hands are off there. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023, 7 p.m. Perfect timing. Please ensure your phones are silenced. As I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Hogan, you please take the roll.
Councilmember Alderman,
Here.
Councilmember Hall,
Here.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Here.
Councilmember Burke,
Here.
Councilmember Holland,
Present.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Rounds.
Councilmember Rounds has excused herself this evening.
Move to excuse Councilmember Rounds.
Second. Moved by Councilmember Holland, second by Councilmember Alderman. Mrs. Hogan.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman.
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have a special presentation this evening with Taylor Trucking, and we have Mr. Mike Leboki with us. If I can get you to join me up front here, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. Are you saying anything tonight? No. Okay. Let me take my glasses off here because she's taking pictures. I don't like my glasses on. Mr. Leboki here has done an amazing job for the City of Woodland. He is a tremendous partner when it comes to Garrick Park. And we have done a lot of maintenance over the last few weeks. Not only, so let's back up a little bit. The park was closed. Park was closed for a long time. We came into office in 2016. We reevaluated that, and it was this piece of property on the other side of CC Street Bridge in Clark County was a donation from the Garrick family. So in an effort to do what was right and what the donation was for, we took it upon ourselves to update it, get it cleaned up, get rid of the graffiti, and get it back open to everyone. And we had a number of people help us with that, to include the Northwest Steelheaders Association. And now Taylor Trucking as well. And did you help us with the original start? You did, yes.
Yeah.
But then we just went and did some maintenance to
My
it.
nephew's a fishing guide on a Lewis, so
Okay.
he
okay.
traded me like 3 fishing trips if I'd come help and fix the boat ramp.
Oh, is
I
that,
still haven't got
Hey,
my 3 fishing
don't-
trips from the Northwest Steelhead Association.
don't tell
yet.
anybody that. You did it on your own.
Yeah.
But the park fund with the city is very challenged. And we do everything we can, not only to work with folks through volunteerism, but then also through other organizations to come in and grant dollars and outside funding sources and impact fees and everything else that we can do to make sure that our park system is usable for the citizens that are paying for it. So thank you for being a good partner. I've got some talking points here to talk about what you've done here. Taylor Trucking was a critical contributor to allowing us to reopening Garrick Park. They will be helping us fix the boat ramp due to erosion now that we have a permit approval, which is already done. They've already completed. And you've already completed that. So thank you very much
Looks
for that.
pretty good, too.
Yes, I did take a drive over there. I was locked out, though. How do you lock me out?
I walked around the
I
gate.
don't know. They're regular sponsors for our Hot Summer Nights and Movies in the Park event every summer. Has helped us during the recent rollover at the skate park on August 11, 2023. For those of you who don't know, we had a vehicle that was involved in a collision that had rolled on from Lakeshore into the skate park. Taylor Trucking just happened to be there for Hot Summer Nights and helped assist with that situation. And I believe it was quite dramatic, if I remember right. I'm looking to Lieutenant Ortiz. I think there was a runner involved. Yes, so anyway, helped us with the removal of that from the skate park, so thank you. Recently has relocated their business to Woodland at the corner of Sherman and Westcott, right there on the corner, which is not quite open yet. I was just over there the other day, but it looks like we're getting there. We're almost there, we're almost there. And we'll be assisting in the Horseshoe Lake Park maintenance needs. So thank you for your contributions to our beautiful little city. Thank you for choosing us to open your business here as well, or relocate your business here, I should say. And with that, I've got a little something here for you. Dear Mr. Leboki, we want to extend our sincere appreciation on your work and donation of materials and time in making the reopening of Garrick Park a success. We absolutely could not have done this without you. Please accept this plaque as a small token of the city's appreciation for your company's time and commitment to our citizens and the City of Woodland staff. Thank you very much. And I have this here with sincere appreciation for your donation and time and money to reopen Garrick Park. Mike Lebowski, Taylor Transport. We're going to step right over here because I'm going to give this to you, and we're going to get a picture in here. And let everybody over here.
Thank
You
you.
want to say anything?
Yeah, I would. I'll say something. First, I'd like to say thank you. I've been trucking and recently been doing a lot of development here lately. And the reason we want to come to Woodland is because the way we get treated here. I don't know if anybody's been on the other side of that river, but it's a lot harder to get things done there. So when we got our first piece of property here and started developing it, we were just really surprised when we called someone, they answered the phone, and how attentive they were to all our needs, and they helped us and they took care of us and all that. So we pretty much sold everything we had in Vancouver and Clark County. We just wanted to move our business here, you know, because the way you guys treated us, and that's why we want to be a part of the community and, you know, do what we can, because you know, it's a big deal to own a business and be in a community and be able to buy property and develop and build your business with people that actually want you to do that, than people that try to, you know, well, other systems that take longer to get things done. So let's put it that way. But I don't want to say nothing bad, but thank you. Wow.
All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah.
And welcome back from Alaska.
You can't leave. You got to stay the whole meeting.
I told him he could go.
I want a plaque.
All right. And with that, we have come to citizen communications for items not on the agenda. Do we have the sheet? No, thank you very much. Chief usually does that. That's why
One job.
One-
One job
one-
here.
I don't think it was passed on that the lieutenant was supposed to bring that up 1 minute before the meeting started, but that's fine. It's fine. We blame the chief for not training you properly. And with that, I do have a few folks on here regarding the workshop. Did you want to speak now, or did you want to wait right before the workshop? Okay. Oh, thank you. And there was, oh, not yet.
Okay,
Not yet. No, I got my note tonight because I didn't.
sorry.
I usually forget that, but we're going to start with this and then move to that. So you want to wait, okay? And Mrs. Hall,
I want to wait for the workshop.
you're here for the workshop as well, okay? Keith Belisle, there you are, Mr. Belisle.
We're going to have our Planners Days meeting tomorrow night at the VFW, 6 p.m. And there's like 5 of us running Planners Days. So if anybody wants to get involved, we need people to help get prizes, people to help get sponsors, people to run events, people to help organize the other people that are involved with running events. So if you want to be involved with Planners Days, come and see me. Again, our meeting's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the VFW. That is all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Question for you.
Yes.
Do we have the area, if I can get Woods Logging Supply involved?
You want to get together with me?
Do we have the area to put on a logging show?
We need to get together and talk.
Okay.
So,
Oh, like what they used to do when we were kids.
I love that idea. I'd like to see that happen too. If we can have the people that can be involved with helping to make that happen, and we can find the place for it, we'll talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belisle. Anyone else in the gallery for items not on the agenda? Yes. Mrs. Johnson.
Well, I want to talk about the workshop, but I've got to be leaving, so
Okay.
I'm going to do it now. I think most of you already know my opinion on that I think that I'm really proud that Woodland is one of the areas that haven't had a pot shop in the area for retail. I hear a lot of people talking that it's so important for medical purposes, but if you need medical marijuana, you can actually get that. We do a lot of testing because we're in trucking, and that's not a legal drug if you're behind the wheel. And the reason drug testing tests for marijuana, the reason it does is because it affects the thinking part of your brain. And we'd have to do also where probable cause, if somebody comes in and you want to test them, you have to have a reason. It's pretty easy if they come in and they're drunk because you can either smell them or they can't walk. With marijuana, how well do you know a person thinks? It's not a good thing. The accident rates are up, and a lot of it, they call it impaired driving, but a lot of it is not, which could be alcohol or marijuana. A lot of it is marijuana. And the effect that it has on kids, especially males, and this is from study that we have to know about because we drug test, but males under 25, the likelihood of them having schizophrenia later on in life is greatly increased. I actually know of one of our employees' son has that situation. Schizophrenia is the worst disease possible. And if you allow this into our neighborhood, to be easily accessible, I think you're helping with that. Bad thing.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. And I'm sorry you can't stay for later on, but thank you for your comments. Anyone else in the gallery for items not on the agenda? Anyone online for items not on the agenda?
Yes, good evening. This is Kimberly Goheen Elbun, life citizen of Clark County, Washington, USA, your sister county down here. I'd like to ask citizens of Woodland to keep a close watch on the Clark County Council and its unelected county manager. It's my understanding that a few months ago they had a meeting, the council had a meeting, and I believe funds were given to them to do something with our side of the Ghost Bridge, where the train crosses over the East Fork of the Lewis River. It was mentioned as to how many people have lost their lives there, and it was very touching at the time. However, on August 29th, a friend of mine was killed with his dog. His name is Gary Lee White, and his dog's name was Max. And they were killed there. We had a memorial here this last Saturday, and I brought it up to the family about this situation, and they are going to look into this very deeply and concerned. What we would like to see is a walk bridge, a person bridge, nice wooden plank bridge going over the East Fork there for safety for people, and then have a plaque in memory of those that have lost their lives up to that date of August 29th. The Clark County Council is following the Vancouver City Council's United Nations agenda. They are members of the United Nations called the ICLEI. Over 400 cities in America are members of this. They're all democratic cities, and they are out to undermine America and her freedom and her liberty, and taking advantage of the hard-earned tax dollars by changing policies. They're passing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that is my concern about this ghost bridge. We're going to ask, where did the monies go? What has been done up to this point of that death? And I actually am on record, in my opinion, I hold them responsible. As for the driving accidents the citizen just mentioned, my theory is that because of this United Nations, it's called Agenda 21-2030, it's a twofold agenda. It is to have a one world order, and if people can't see that, that's weakening America, then we need to really wake up. The other agenda is to depopulate, and we believe that the COVID bio jab is just that. We're not out to scare people, but I do ask people if they are starting to limp or having breathing or heart problems or whatever your history is, to get a D-dimer test. It'll see if you have blood clots, which this is going to be doing. Therefore, if you're driving a car and you're a victim of this COVID jab and it's your time, something happens. So I'm thinking that a lot of these acts, I predicted it about a year ago, that there's going to be more accidents. Sure enough, there is. And that's one reason I believe that that's happening. Marijuana use, I mean, it's not, I'll say I use it for pain and stuff, but it's not a deterrent for me. Of course, I'm a senior citizen, but alcohol, thank God he sobered me up here a few years ago, and I'm thankful for that. I love Woodland, but I do want citizens to please wake up. It's not just Clark County. It's 400 cities in the United States that are trying to take this agenda, and they're undermining and weakening us, and that is the answer right there. We need to do what our forefathers said, and that is to assemble in person, not just have 6 people there or only 2 people maybe in Vancouver and only maybe 1 at Clark County Council. We need assembly now, and we need to tell them who the boss is. We are, not them. They serve us. We don't serve them. But it's looking like we're serving the government, doesn't it? So that's the answer to that. As far as citizens looking also, please look at the Columbian blog directory. Read September 2nd. There's a Clark County Council picture there and an article that the woman wrote about that. I think she opened up a can of worms, and I'm thankful for it, because what they did was they pinned me as being abusive for calling an unelected county manager the boss of Clark County, and you have a county manager also. You may need to look into that. That she is a socialist and a Marxist, and they put me as abusive. Not only did that happen in September 2nd, but people need to watch August 16. The Clark County Council time there on those minutes, 7 citizens spoke, and after the second citizen, his name is Glenn Kincaid, he spoke. Mr. Medvedji, the vice chair, said, well, it was a relief to not hear about the United Nations Dominion plan that we have. He said it under his breath. It was almost like Satan spoke, as far as I was concerned. No citizen heard that. I heard it. I listened to them. I put it on record. People need to listen to that, what he said, plan that we have. We are being taken over. We cannot have the mayor or any council there at Woodland, Camas, I was meeting tonight, Vancouver, I just spoke. They are United Nations members, and people need to wake up to this and make America godly again, and let's be the patriots that God woke us up to be. We have to listen to what our forefathers said about our government. God bless the council there. Please stay to the Constitution. Do not follow the growth management plan, because that in itself is the United Nations thing. Anything Inslee puts out is criminal, and Biden is going to be taken. We're going to try to impeach that guy if you can impeach a fake president. So his family is a criminal family, and thank you, citizens. God bless us all. Amen.
Thank you. And Miss Kimberly, I do have to ask, how do you spell your last name, if you don't mind?
It's Goheen, and then my married name is Elbon, Elbon. I put Goheen out there because I'm a life citizen, and people know me as being over there at the Goheen Airport, just north of Daybreak Park.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else online for items not on the agenda?
Yep.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Deinhardt.
I have a couple questions. So I see in the list of expenditures, there is a purchase for an aluminum sign titled Old Firehouse. Is this for 100 Davidson Street for the food carts?
Yes, it is.
So what is the status of the food carts at 100 Davidson? I asked last council meeting and it said it wasn't ready to be talked about, so I didn't know where we were this week.
We're still waiting. Ms. Coleman, do you want to give an update?
Sure, yeah, we're still waiting to hear from a couple vendors, and we're waiting to hear from some other items that we're thinking of doing in 100 Davidson to see if it's cost prohibitive or whether we move forward. We're also still working with the Department of Health, so we don't have anything firm or set in stone yet, but we are working on it. I should know more within the next couple weeks.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so we bought a sign, but we don't have approval from Department of Health. Okay. Second thing I have a question on then is
can I
in the paperwork.
Okay, go ahead.
What was that, Tracy?
Oh, I was just going to say, we have approval from Department of Health, but we're waiting for the food truck approvals. So our building we have approval with, but we don't have approval with the food trucks yet. So a couple of them are waiting for their approval. I just wanted to clarify that.
Got it. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, thank you. And then later in the documentation, when we talk about the Commerce Comp Planning Grant that is out there, it talks about that the transportation impact fees will be updated in October of 2023. So the 180 plus houses along Lewis River Road, will they be paying an updated impact fee, or will they be paying the $838 for the transportation?
They will be paying the updated fee. They haven't applied for, they're not at a permit processing yet, or permit portion of their project yet. So they will be paying the updated fee.
It's paid per house.
So none of those houses are been in for permitting. Okay.
No.
Perfect. That's what I need.
All right, thank you. Anyone else online? All right, we've come to the agenda itself, and I ask that before approval, or during the approval process, if there's no changes or changes, whatever council decides, you also request to suspend the council rules for public comments during the consent items and each action item and workshop.
Move to approve the agenda and the comments.
Motion. Well, I need to add something.
Oh, Mrs. Dowdy.
I need to add a action item after the workshop to consider directing staff to conduct survey on retail marijuana.
So we have one motion on the floor without a second. Is this a second motion?
She's asking for agenda approval itself at this point. Let me
those ads? Is that what we're
with
doing?
that ad.
I just
Yeah,
wanna make sure
well,
we get it right.
Mr. Burke said that he requested to suspend the rules based on my statement, and Mrs. Dowdy seconded that with an addition as well.
So do we have to second hers?
No.
Okay.
Mrs. Hogan, can you please take the roll?
What are we voting on?
You're voting on to approve the agenda with the suspension of rules to allow public testimony during consent, each action item in the workshop, and the addition of directing staff to conduct a survey.
Did we get a second on that?
We didn't need one for the second on the addition, but you can vote yes or no, either way, to approve or not approve the agenda.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to make that kind of a judgment yet. We haven't even heard the
I'm going to stop
workshop.
you right there, Mr. Hall, with the discussion portion. Mhm. So we will take roll. Okay. Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Councilmember Holland,
No.
Councilmember Burke,
No.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
No.
Councilmember Alderman.
Yes.
All right, the agenda has not been approved with a 4-2. We are at the agenda itself. I'm asking that a request to suspend council rules to allow for public testimony during consent, each action item, and the workshop.
I would so move without the thing that we just talked
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Hall, second by Councilmember Smith. Mrs. Hogan, please take the roll.
Councilmember Alderman,
No.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
No.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The agenda has been approved 4-2. Moving on to reports of standing committees. Human Resources.
Yes,
No,
today.
Mrs. Dowdy.
Sorry. Today, we had a quick meeting and met at 6 p.m. Mr. Boyce was present along with myself, Councilmember Hall, and Councilmember Alderman. The Woodland Police Association has ratified the collective bargaining agreement, and we all unanimously recommend a due pass for council. And then the second agenda item was the cost of living adjustment for exempt employees for fiscal year 2024. And we suggest the same as the Teamsters at the 3.25%, with the need to discuss the chief and lieutenant a little further.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Finance Committee.
So we
Salt.
met at, this was a quick one. It was 13 whole minutes because we had an executive session. Some highlights. August 2023 sales tax revenue is 14% higher than last month, and it's 13% higher than it was this time last year. So that's pretty cool. One of the other things you'll be noticing is some funds that'll be closed out from Public Works projects. Those will be coming up on some future agendas. It's an accounting thing. It's about all we got over in 13 minutes. And we adjourned at 6:26.
All right, thank you very much. And moving on to reports of City Council.
Anybody have anything?
I don't see any hands going up.
I
Okay,
will.
Mrs. Holland.
Okay, so my third granddaughter was born over the weekend. Her name is Hamina Rose.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is beautiful.
So now I have 3 granddaughters that.
You got a lot of way to go to catch up to Mrs. Rounds.
Well, I know. And she's not here so that
I
we
know.
could share baby pictures. But so that was the highlight for our weekend, was that we have a new addition to the family. She's adorable.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. It's always nice to have
Thank
a new
you.
one show up like that, and everybody's happy and healthy and
Yes.
good to go.
They
Awesome.
kick them out like the next
I
day
know.
now.
You get out and go home. Yeah.
Yes.
We need the bed. We need the bed for the next one.
Yeah, and her
Yeah.
18-month-old sister is not impressed.
Of course not.
So.
Mr. Smith.
So the Woodland Youth Football and Cheer has a raffle going right now. I think they're $5 a ticket. Lots of raffle prizes, and 100% of the money goes towards supporting that program. With the levy failure year, they have ginormous costs that have increased. I think using the football fields costing them $9,000 this year, and last year it was $0. So it's a big difference. So if you can buy a raffle ticket, I really encourage everybody to do it.
When do sales stop?
I think they're doing the raffle at the end of October. Don't quote me on that. I'm trying to negotiate getting somebody in here to
Do it.
talk about more. Maybe we'll see.
Mr. Alderman.
How about next weekend, we bring a couple of the boys in and bring some raffle tickets in, and more information on that. Since the levy failed, the youth football group actually took on the 7th and 8th grade, more safety equipment, more time on the field, so they need all the support they can get.
All right. I see a visit in the next meeting, perhaps.
I think she's trying to get the cheerleaders to do a cheer, and I think bring some football players, because the football players did not sell raffle tickets last year. It was just cheerleaders, but this year it's all encompassing. Everyone is selling tickets to try to help.
So bring your money.
That's the one I won off last
Show up to a
year,
meeting
right?
and bring your money.
What's that?
I won off that last
You did,
year,
yep.
yeah, so
Yep.
Do it again.
So
Mrs. Dowdy.
I went to the chamber meeting and got to hear one of the school board candidates, and so that was good. I know that they're starting to have candidates for all the different positions, so thank you guys for having any of us that are running in this next election, and those that are running against us. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for any citizen to be able to come and listen. So thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else? All right, moving on to Chamber of Commerce. That's you.
Come on,
Mrs. Swire, can you bring that down a little bit? There we go.
Good
Perfect.
evening. I'm Carrie Swire, the Chamber's Executive Director.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to start with the Visitor Center tonight. For a while in August, we were melting. That's what I told the Chamber. Our air conditioner is broken. Now I'm a little worried that it's linked to the heater, but you know, if anyone wants to come take a peek at it, you'd be my guest. But we're cooling off, so this is good news. We're starting to see that lull that happens when school starts. The bridge work isn't helping us. We're still seeing a lot of tourists. I'm seeing some international tourists. I've noted some visitors from China, Norway, Australia, and Canada. And we don't have many visitors each day, so I take as much time with them as they'll give me. So it's been really fun and interesting. So we're seeing that. We welcomed 120 tourists in the past month. I don't know if that's a good number or not, but it seems to be consistent. So we'll take what we can get. The Chamber of Commerce news, we did have our 2023 golf tournament. It was awesome. Several of you were there.
Still mad I didn't win. But I guess you have to try.
It was very successful, and I'm proud of everyone who helped. I thank everyone that helped. Heartfelt gratitude for the sponsors, the participants, the Lewis River Golf Course. We had a great time. Despite the thunder and lightning at 5:30 in the morning, of all the days in the summer, the day of our golf tournament. But we managed to have a great day, I think. Our regularly scheduled chamber meetings are on Tuesdays at noon at the Oak Tree. Anyone can come, all are welcome. Our annual business meeting is coming up on October 3rd. We're currently accepting nominations for open board positions. I believe there's just 1 or 2 board positions open. If you would like to nominate someone, please contact me. The deadline is this Friday, the 22nd. Tomorrow at our meeting, we're welcoming Michelle Nelson. She's from the Port of Kalama. She's going to talk to us about that beautiful building they're erecting called the Mountain Timber Market. So there's a lot of business opportunities there. It's also just exciting to hear what's happening next door. It's beautiful and it's inspiring. So I'm anxious to hear about that. And the following week on the 29th, we're hearing from our own Optal Chiropractic. They're going to talk to us about 3 phases of healing. Always good to know. And in a couple weeks, Umpqua Bank, actually it's a week from Thursday, they're hosting our after hours, so that'll be fun. Please note your calendars for that. Get together with some other chamber members, community members, hoping to have some distinguished guests there that night. We've set trick or treat in the streets for Halloween night this year. We were thinking about having it on a Friday, but we decided this morning it will be on Halloween from 3 to 5. Nice. The chamber will have a tent accepting canned food for the Woodland Action Center, and if you bring canned food, you'll get a full-size candy bar.
Wait, what?
Full size.
How much canned food? Like a little thing of sliced olives?
Hey, I'll take any canned food, yes.
Candy bar per can?
No. And I will be dressing up. I haven't dressed up in years, so I'm kind of excited about that. But
Where's
we'll
the
be
tent
there.
going to be located?
We're not sure yet. We're going to talk to the city about where they would want it set up. We're anticipating some businesses on the what would that be, the north side of town? What do you call it, like west side of town are going to want to participate. So we're hoping to kind of spread them out, not just have them all in a.
So you're expanding from the west side to the east side. Are you bringing it to this side of the freeway?
No, we're bringing everyone to the old side of town.
Okay, still. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
yes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where the tents will be. That's to be determined.
So how does someone sign up if they want to have a booth down there?
So we are partnering with Carly Bordak for this event, and she will be sending out, if she hasn't already, likely this week, notice to all the businesses in Woodland if they wanted to participate, how to do that and what to do. But
That's awesome.
yeah,
I
it'll
know
be fun.
she started that when we had COVID.
COVID.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
we
was-
met this morning. She's delightful. We are growing. We have a few new members that we've welcomed since our last meeting, and we are still offering 50% off 2023 memberships. So it's a great time to join. This is an exciting time of year, and I think we're feeling some energy coming into the chamber. So I welcome you all to our meetings, and always stop by that visitor center and visit me.
I did send some folks that
JJ
way.
visits me often. Aaron visited me. I love it. So yes,
Nice. Nice.
just yeah.
I sent some internationals down your way, 3 of them from United Kingdom. They're here for a
Yes.
week, so hopefully they do stop in to
Great.
get some more information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Again, the dates for your candidate.
We have several dates for candidates through October. They're on our website.
Well, you send them out in an email. I get the-
Email.
are you
It's
getting those
also on our
emails, Mr.
website.
Altman?
I think the 10th
Okay.
and 17th and 24th,
10, 17, 24.
or 3rd,
No,
10th, and
third.
17th.
Third,
3rd,
10th.
10th, and 17th. Correct.
3rd, 10, 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Sometimes my computer works with me.
I'll remind you, Mr. Alderman.
I have to go see my IT development part of
That's why you need a Mac.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Swire.
Yep.
I nominate Kim Blower for all of it. No? All right. Moving on to myself. My newsletter is attached. That went out September 8th. And we've got a house tonight, and we've got a number of items to get through, so I will stop there. Mr. Boyce.
Okay, I'll keep mine quick too. First off, on the consent agenda, you have the collective bargaining agreement with the Woodland Police Association. We have a tentative agreement with them. The union's ratified as reported by Councilmember Dowdy. And I'm encouraging City Council to adopt that. It was a good negotiating session. The police came ready to work. Only 2 meetings and we had it done. So encouraging a positive vote on that. I also wanted to mention that the first Monday in October we'll be sending the budget to council, and I'll have a budget calendar sent out and up on the website shortly. For those who haven't been through the budget process before, we'll be meeting every Monday until council is satisfied with the budget and we get it adopted. So anyway, something to look forward to. And that's my report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. And with that, is there anyone in the gallery for consent items this evening, to speak to consent items? Is there anyone online to speak to consent items? Seeing none, at this time we've come to consent items.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Kimberly Goheen-Elbin again.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you. Just you're having a very good meeting, and I just want people to wake up and get very active in their local governments. I appreciate that. Thank you, and let's make America godly again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimberly. And with that, we've come to consent items.
Move to approve the consent items?
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Holland, seconded by Councilmember Burke. I think he got you just for a moment. Mrs. Hogan, you please take the roll.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving on, let me just take one note real quick here. Get that filled out. Okay. And moving on to action items. Is there anyone in the gallery to speak to action item G, authorize mayor to sign memorandum of agreement between the city of Woodland Police Department, and the Cowlitz County Sheriff for use of the Cowlitz County Law Enforcement Shooting Range? Is there anyone online to speak to that item? And And with that, we've come to action item G, authorize mayor to sign memorandum of agreement between the City of Woodland, Woodland Police Department, and the Cowlitz County Sheriff for use of the Cowlitz County Law Enforcement Shooting Range.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Burke. Councilmember Smith.
No comment.
Councilmember Burke.
I just noticed that the addendums weren't there.
The addendums aren't attached.
B, A, B, C, D, E, they weren't attached to the item.
What are you looking at?
Well, the prices and stuff, what it was gonna cost to use the range and stuff like that. The important stuff.
Is it at the top, Mr. Boyce?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so
There's the
apparently the-
attachment link right there.
Well, yeah, that's where I was.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry.
It looks like the wrong copy got, or the addendums were omitted.
Okay.
So therefore, we don't know how much use and the cost and stuff like that.
All right.
And it says zeros on the budget, but it's gonna cost money.
That
The
is
range.
yes, it will cost money for the range. It says 0. I'm thinking that they're not. I think Miss Ortiz is looking now. I'm not sure why those weren't attached. And that would trigger a budget amendment if I'm right. It's not going to be, you just made a statement of being in the budget. It'd trigger a budget amendment down the road. They're looking up now, just a moment.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe a budget addendum is needed this year, but we'll have to incorporate it into the 2024.
So this is for 2024, not for now.
Well, I believe it goes into, starts now and goes into
Gotcha.
2024.
A, B, C, and D is missing.
So this one, it looks like D. Am I missing something here? It says she'll be able to use it for 2019 lease and sublease. I don't know if that's keeping the same
Which one?
I think they're using it now.
recitals. Is that what that is?
I think she went to.
Is this something we should table until the chief comes back?
We can, if you want. Mr. Boyce, did you find the numbers?
No, I haven't. Can you check the printed out agreement you have to see if the addendums are located on that?
Is that why it's saying 0? Because it's going off of 2019 costs? 2019 costs?
It references D, which is Exhibit D, law enforcement range use and cost schedule. So way at the back.
I think I have the same copy that you have online there.
No. I think that.
So we can, if Mr. Alderman, if you want to make that motion, we can
I
bring
make
that
a
to.
motion, we table it.
You just second that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Alderman is requesting to table action item G until October 2nd with a second from Mr. Smith. Mr. Alderman.
I just think we need more information on this.
Mr. Smith.
I think we've discussed it here, but yeah, I would like to see a little bit more. That was a good catch on Burke.
All right. Further discussion? Mrs. Hogan, you take the roll to table this item until October 2nd.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman.
Aye.
Well, the ayes have it, and we'll bring that back to you at the next meeting. Anyone in the gallery for action item H, Commerce Comprehensive Planning Grant Authorization? Good evening.
Hello, yes, this is Donna Butler, and I just had a clarification. I noticed in your letter to the Department of Commerce regarding this grant, you said the grant will provide the city an opportunity to update the City of Woodland Comprehensive Plan. Now, we update that plan whether we have a grant or not. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
We were in the process of doing that when this letter came through.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, thanks. Anyone else for action item H, the comprehensive plan or Commerce Comprehensive Planning Grant Authorization? Anyone online?
Yes, this is Kimberly Goheen Elbin. This gets really deep. So when these cities follow the United Nations agenda and what America is putting out now under this unconstitutional, whatever we have as a president and stuff that's going on in our government, like I said, it's deep. The growth management plan is involved, the comprehension plans that counties and cities adopt, they all have to be looked and measured by the Constitution. If they do not follow the Constitution, and you find anywhere in there that there's a United Nations program going on or agenda, it must be stopped. We have to stop this. Not all counties are following that agenda. So let's keep Cowlitz and Clark County, let's turn them over and get back to the Constitution and the way that America should be as a free nation. The fact is the world organizations do not want to have a free nation in America. And that's just point blank. Like I said, it's deeper than that. I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else for action item H, Comprehensive Planning Grant Authorization online? And with that, we've come to action item H.
Motion to approve Commerce Comprehensive Planning Grant Authorization.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Dowdy, seconded by Councilmember Hall. Councilmember Dowdy.
I think it's something that we are in the process of doing anyways, that why not help offset the cost?
Councilmember Hall.
Yes, significant cost savings for us.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Hogan, please take the roll on action item H, Commerce Comprehensive Planning Grant Authorization.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving on to action item I. Is there anyone in the gallery to speak to resolution number 769, a resolution requesting the Washington State Department of Corrections to continue operation at the Large Corrections Center? Anyone online? Seeing none, we've come to action item I, resolution number 769.
Motion to approve action item, what is that, 769, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Hall. Councilmember Smith.
We talked about this last meeting a little bit, and there's some significant impacts if that goes away as far as work crews helping clean the city. Is that what we discussed? And I think that is a camp that also does training and teaching of inmates to try to help reintegrate them into society. Is that also that came through?
Also wildlife firefighting.
Also wildlife and firefighting. So I am for trying to keep that open if it's possible.
Councilmember Hall.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be possible to win, but I do think we should register our position on it.
Okay. Further discussion?
I think, to piggyback what Councilmember Hall just said, it's one of those things, it's the state, If they ain't got the money to run it, they're not gonna run it no matter what anybody says. But I think it's a good idea that we show our support.
Anything further? Seeing none, Mr. Hogan, please take the roll on action item I, resolution number 769.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving on, is there anyone in the gallery for action item J, Westcott Avenue asbestos concrete water line replacement change order? Is there anyone online? Seeing none, we've come to action item J, Westcott Avenue asbestos concrete water line replacement change order.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Hall, seconded by Councilmember Alderman. Councilmember Hall.
Okay, it's maintenance, you gotta do it. Gotta
Count-
move ahead.
Councilmember Alderman.
So, if we're gonna support the growth of our industry in that part of town, we gotta do whatever it takes to make the water and the other stuff flow. So, if we want growth, we gotta do what we can on our part.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Hogan, please take the roll on action item J, Westcott Avenue asbestos concrete water line replacement change order.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Alderman,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The time is now 7:52. We are moving into a workshop, discuss the conducting a survey of citizens regarding retail marijuana sales in the city of Woodland. At this time, I ask that anyone speaking, whether it be council or anyone within the gallery, that we talk about future and not the past. And with that, is there anyone in the gallery to speak to workshop item K, discussing a survey of citizens regarding retail marijuana sales in the city of Woodland? Good evening.
Hi.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So, my name is Alice Flanagan, and my husband Bruce is here, and I have lived in Woodland for the past 61 years, and we love Woodland. And we've raised our family here, and now our sons continue to live here and raise our grandkids here, and so we are committed to this community, and we just want the best for it. And by the way, with elections going on, I want to thank all of you who are serving, and I also want to thank the people who are running, because it shows you care, and I respect all the people that care about our community. It takes time, I know, to do the work you do. So I think Woodland is an amazing small town, but I have a vision for it, and the vision would be like, someday Woodland would be named one of the best small towns of America. But coincidence, just today, my Reader's Digest came and it said, the nicest places in America. And the articles are based on kindness, and I'd go for that title too. But I picture us as one of the best small towns. I think we really can do that. And it would be named that because it's family friendly, healthy, and we have fun values. It would note our amazing features we already have. We have 2 rivers, nearby lakes, and recreational activities. We have flowers and farms, and great schools and parks, and Planters Day. We have what it takes to make us an amazing place to live. I think as we make choices, we should have a vision to make us great. Look at what we want. That is why I'm opposed to the pot shop within the city limits. It doesn't fit my vision. I think that one of the problems we face today is a lot of hearsay. People hear something and they tend to believe it and they repeat it, and that's really easy with social media. So I think for all of us, it's really important when we hear something to find out the facts, research it, and see what is the truth behind it. And so in the case of the marijuana, I have done some research, And I've printed a sheet here that gives a brief overview of some of the risks of marijuana use. For sake of discussion, in general use, the term marijuana usually includes the use of that which has THC in it. And THC is the mind-altering factor. So we want to clarify that marijuana in general usage has the THC in it. And I have some sheets. Do you want me to?
I'll take them.
Okay.
Mrs.
Okay,
Hall's
there's a
got you.
few extras for the audience. Oh, you want? Which way are you going? Well, okay, back then. I'll wait till they get in there. How about we go both ways? Okay. So as she's coming.
Did you say darn teachers?
This is research I got from a reliable source. And so it says, using marijuana carries real risk for your health and quality of life. Some might be surprising to you, so know the risks, learn before you burn, eat, or use. One is today's marijuana is stronger, and I won't read every part of this, but it's now about 3 times stronger than it was 10 years ago or 25 years ago. The risk of addiction, about 1 in 10 people who use marijuana may become addicted, and 1 in 6 when they begin use before 18. It lowers brain power. Marijuana affects your brain development. Use by adolescents has been linked to a decline in 10 scores. It impairs your memory. Using marijuana could affect your memory, learning, concentration, and attention. Other effects include difficulty with thinking and problem solving. It affects your performance. It can harm your baby. And there definitely is a driving danger. I looked up some interesting facts about that. Under the effects and driving are very dangerous. So anyway, as you make your decisions for how we go with our town, I want you to look at the future and make sure that Woodland stays a wonderful town and really becomes one of the best towns in America.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out this evening. Is there anyone else for action item K for the workshop this evening? I do have you signed up. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Unless there's someone else who
Nope.
wants. You want to go? You go.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm speaking as a mother. My son went through that. The marijuana opens the door for all the other drugs. So that happened back in California, before we moved here. And so started doing that. It's true that what they call is laced. They put maybe sometimes PCP in it, which is the same drug they use for dumbing elephants or animals. And it's a very strong drug. And also, Alice Flanagan was saying, it's true that the marijuana has become much more stronger. So it's a miracle my son is alive, to tell you the truth, because he went from there to do all this other stuff, PCPs probably, what they call mollies, which is drugs that you get this effect of getting high, whatever, And they use them in what they call raves, parties, all that kind of stuff. I learned all this, from him, of course. What else? Well, he ended up doing heroin. When I came here, he kept on doing heroin. And by God's grace, I'm telling you, he never had to go to rehab. He was healed. I don't know how. It's a miracle that he's still alive, like I said. So yes, it is a drug that gets into worse things, and especially here in the community, which I like Woodland very much. And that's the reason I've been here for 15 years, and I like this community. And so as a mother, I wanted to give you my opinion of what I know for fact, because I've lived through it for many years. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out tonight. Anyone else in the gallery? I do have you signed up still. Mrs. Hall. Oh, we've got somebody in the back. Yes, ma'am?
Are you having another meeting after this to join in the conversation?
No, this is the conversation this evening. We're taking testimony from the gallery this evening. No action item will be taken tonight. This is a discussion.
That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, got you. Sir, yes? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Michael Rosenbaum, resident of Woodland, and I'm going to speak from personal experience as a young man. I grew up in Tigard, Oregon, and as a young man I started smoking marijuana in junior high school along with a lot of my friends. A lot of people said it's not a gateway drug. Well, from my personal experience, I would disagree. Once we started smoking marijuana, it was like, this didn't hurt us, let's try some speed. Next thing you know, we tried speed. This didn't hurt us, let's try some LSD. And so that's been my experience and what I've seen my friends do. Fortunately, I stopped the drug use and joined the military and changed my life. But I know a lot of other friends and families, and with our current situation with fentanyl and the homeless population, if you were to go out and survey all those people, I can assure you they all started with marijuana. And my brother-in-law was going to school to be a drug rehab counselor. And one of the things he learned in college was that people are always continuously chasing their first high. And most people's first high is marijuana. And so they can never get that first high again. So they're always trying to find something better and stronger. And with the marijuana now, it's just not the flower plant that people used to smoke. They have different oils and waxes and other things that make it much stronger than it was, 30 years ago. And I just would like to see Woodland continue to not allow the pot shops here. If someone wants to get their marijuana, they've got a dispensary right up there by the casino. They have them in Longview, they have them in Vancouver, and I know people talk about, well, we could get the tax revenue, it would help Woodland. Well, I think we could get other more productive businesses in Woodland that not only increase taxes, but create living wage jobs. And I just wanted to contribute my personal experience and encourage you to disallow the marijuana dispensary from being opened in Woodland. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the gallery for the workshop this evening? Yes?
So I'm Jody Rosenbaum, Mike's wife.
Okay.
Going to take a tiny bit of a different, so Mike has that history. I'm seeing it involving our young adults. So I have kids, we have kids, and I'm alone, that are 24, or 26 and 29 now. And they're in that age that this became legal when they were outside of our home. And I was really proud that here in Woodland, we still did not have that, because I do know, especially for our son, which we've heard today, has a greater risk of developing mental health issues, which we have seen in our own family in relationship with my brothers and sisters to having drug use. And the brain in a male is still developing in between these 18 and 25 years old. And when we have these things in our community that you're driving by each day, it's saying that this is an okay thing. This is something that you get numb to it, similar to other things that you can see on the internet, say pornography, that sort of stuff. You get numb to that, and you don't even realize the effects that it's potentially having on you. So the population that I'm seeing with especially my son's and my son and his friends, they my son would not do anything illegal. And we raised him not to do illegal things. We talked to them about drugs, and we talked to them about using alcohol and driving. We talked to them about these sort of things. But never did I realize to speak with him about using marijuana. And as they go to college, they begin to dabble in this sort of stuff, and not as a drug of choice for this age group. It is not to get high. It's to calm themselves down. Well, so-and-so's doing it to treat his anxiety, so I chose to do that. So-and-so's doing it because he gets stressed out at work and he's got to do a big presentation, so I chose to do that. And so I would love to have, you're talking about what is the future here for Woodland. I would love to have a future here in Woodland where we continue to be a space of abstinence in this area. Alice talking about it being a safe haven place. I do a lot of work with individuals who are drug and alcohol addicts, especially heavy drug addicts, and I do a lot of one-on-one with them. And not one of them is pro to have this in our community. They love to live here in Woodland because they feel the cleanness, the clean values that we have here. So if we're talking about the future of Woodland, I would ask you guys to, yes, are we making this no, you can't buy this. No, you can't. We're not going to be able to do that with just in our bounds. But we still can say within this community, we are not going to say yes to this. And it reminded me when you guys were talking about the cleaning up of, it was really good, the corrections to clean up and do these. It's really good to have this. And yes, we're going to continue to vote for this. The state might not stand for us, and we might not be able, but we want our voices to be heard here in Woodland, that we stand for what is right and what is good, and you all eyed that. I want you to continue to eye this for our community right here. We don't stand for this because we want goodness and mercy. We want good values. We want people, when you hear of Woodland, we want people to say, oh yeah, that's the place that they don't do this. That's the place where if I'm hurting, if I need help, especially in this area, I can go there not to get it, but to get well. And that's the community that I see. So you all will eventually make your decision, but I know that for those specific reasons, like Mike was talking about with the gateway drug, yes, but for those people who are seeing it as a nothing or as a place to get help, especially for these other, I'm a nurse, so these other medical things, it's not the place to get it on your own and prescribe your own, and they're skipping that other aspect by being able to run in. The driving thing, it's a big deal. Anyone you see vaping in their car is probably vaping pot with it. The edibles, it's just a quick, no one has any idea. You don't smell, you don't. And so do we want that to increase in our community as well? I don't. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out this evening. Anyone else in the gallery for the workshop? Mr. Bowen.
Just one short statement.
Do you want to stand there or do you want to come to the podium? We can turn a microphone on.
There, it's not as easy as it is standing up.
Yeah, okay.
You don't need a microphone.
I just wonder if you all know that the feds and the state are both thinking about wiping this out. Then what are you gonna do? You gonna fight the state and the feds saying, you know, there's talk in Washington State on a federal level of declassifying this, and it'll be anywhere. You know, have at it. It's gonna happen whether you like it or not, guys. Write it on the wall. I'll buy a steak dinner if it don't.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Appreciate you coming out. Anyone else in the gallery? I think you're up. You're up here.
I'm Mary Hall. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm here as a citizen of Woodland and as a grandma. Mayor Finn, members of the council, and citizens of Woodland, I come to this microphone to speak my opinion about our future, our community's future, and the idea of having a pot shop anywhere in our Woodland. My opinion is pot shops are simply not needed in Woodland. We as a municipality have autonomy to make decisions to protect our community, like we did during COVID, helping businesses stay open regardless of what the state mandate was. At the state level, pot shops may be permissible, but that does not mean that they are beneficial or constructive or profitable for our community. Not all things that are permissible are beneficial. Pot shops are simply not needed in Woodland. Citizens of Woodland who wish to use THC or CBD can purchase it online and have it delivered to their residences. No one needs to drive to procure it. Pot shops are simply not needed in Woodland. Let's consider why our Woodland community is good for kids. Because Woodland is clean and safe and fun. A retail pot shop in view of kids, school buses, cars full of kids, doesn't help us raise our kids. I've spent my whole life as a public school teacher, a homeschool teacher, a mom, a grandma, and now a great-grandma. And I've always been watchful of ways to benefit children. And I intentionally oppose things that stumble children, that teach harm to children. For nearly 20 years, I taught in the Cowlitz County Juvenile Detention Center school. Nearly all of the students that I serve were incarcerated due to choices they made while under the influence or trying to obtain pot. I have dear family members who have suffered and caused the suffering of others because of pot. Perhaps there are lots of families in this very room at this very moment who would say the same. As a community, we're in unity to be watchful for things that would harm our children. For instance, we're watchful and we warn school leaders against curriculum in our schools that might harm our students' thinking and social choices. It's at least as important as that to be watchful against normalizing the use of something that we know will harm their thinking, harm their ambition, harm their health, and stunt their ability to maximize their future. A pot shop facility with eye-catching advertisement normalizes pot use in our community. There's simply no benefit to making pot use seem enticing or normal for young eyes to see. Woodland children are too precious. And so, city council members, let's not open the door to opinions to tolerate normalizing something that's harmful to our children, something that we know would make them stumble. Stumbling children is a scary option to take. Please don't do it. One last thought. There are roughly 290 cities in Washington state. 80 of those cities have said no to pot shops. Let's keep Woodland among that rank. We're Woodland, and our children are precious. Pot shops are simply not needed in Woodland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall. Anyone else in the gallery? Mrs. Butler? Good
I'd
evening.
just like to say that I think a survey would be interesting, just to take the temperature of the community. I don't know how that could be done so that it was, you know, done in a way that only one person is getting one vote. I know it doesn't work that way in a lot of surveys. You can vote as many times as you want. So I don't know how that would work, but I just think it would be interesting to have it, you know, settled for some in the community, because it seems to be quite divisive, and I'm kind of interested in just knowing where people really are, because, you know, there's a few of us that have a voice and that come out and speak. I mean, I love all the care about the children we've heard tonight, but I attend school board meetings and they're not at the school board meetings, and there's some serious stuff going on in our school systems right now. So anyway, I think surveys are interesting, but I don't know how you would accomplish it. So that's all.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Butler. Anyone else? No. Sir?
My name is John Stoller. About the kids and the city. Yes, the people should vote. The people should vote if it should be here or not. I was 12 and a half when I moved out of my mom's house because she was a junkie, literally junkie. People make choices. My son is about to be 25 and a full baby doctor. Goes to UW. Choices of me smoking marijuana my whole life never changed him to even care about heroin, fentanyl, even doing marijuana itself. So it's not about any of that. It's about the choice of what people choose to do. No matter what 7 people vote and put a ban in a city that's never been voted on by the people, doesn't mean the people don't want it. So if it can't be put to vote by the people of Woodland, then what you're saying, it's the people's town, right? So shouldn't the people vote on it? Like I say, my mom was a straight junkie. I moved out at 12 and a half, went to high school on my own, went to college on my own, because I made that choice. I lived it and never had to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Storr.
Just one more question. If you look at the tax income that the states and the government get from the choice, from the marijuana industry, it far exceeds the alcohol industry. And guys, JP is a relative, but I wouldn't care if Deanna run the store. I still would think that it's important to have a people's input, number one, and consider the financial thing, because it's going to happen, man. I mean, look around. I mean, the state and the feds are fed up with the little piddly. They're more interested in fentanyl and stuff that you should be concerned about. That's parents build kids. It isn't the drug that does it. That's just the way it is. I've got 5 kids. One of them has one of the highest security clearances in the nation. It isn't the drugs. It is a choice. You just decide whether that you help the kids make the right choices. You can't force a kid to do something he ain't gonna do. You can teach them when they're young. And you can guide them. But I tell you, the industry's gonna happen here whether you like it or not, and all of you know that. There's no question. Do what you wanna do. I'm gonna be dead in a couple years, but it'll make a hell of a lot of difference to me one way or another. But the people that follow you should be getting some tax benefits out of it. That's the way it's gonna be.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bowen. And moving to online for the workshop. Is there anyone online for comments for the workshop this evening? Seeing none, and we'll take another from the gallery. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Samadell, and I'm living with my family. I can't afford to live anyplace else. So, because they're renting whatever. And I have lived with this marijuana BS for all
Thank
my
you.
life.
Thank you very much.
And it's a fact, it can come in. I don't think we need to allow it because we're stronger if we go a step against it to bring it. Why make it so dang available? Have you ever driven in Oregon and almost everything block has a pot shop or a vape place? It's so available. And I don't think we need to advertise to increase it in the state of Washington and Woodlands, the city of Woodland.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else. And we have come to workshop item K, discussing conducting a survey of citizens regarding retail marijuana sales in the city of Woodland. Councilmember Dowdy, you have asked for this workshop this evening, so I will turn it to you.
Okay. Well, good evening. I really want to thank everybody for their voices. First and foremost, this does not reflect an opinion of mine one way or the other. My reason for bringing this is because I have lived in this town for 6.5 years, and since I got here, I have been told Woodland was a hard no. They have voted it down, they have voted it down. Well, then I got on council a 1.5 years almost ago, and then I started having people in the town going, well, when was that vote? What were the numbers? Well, then I started asking the questions. And what I found was the only vote that Woodland has ever taken on the topic was when it was asked, do we want marijuana to be legalized in the state of Washington in 2012? And our data that we have is that Woodland was split into 2 groups, North and South. North said 490 were, yeses, 586 were noes. So the north side of Woodland were noes. The south side of Woodland had 478 yeses and 469 noes. They were a yes. When you put the numbers together, there were 968 yeses and 1,055 noes, a difference of 87 votes over 10 years ago. In my opinion, we have had 3 votes as council, not with me on it, prior to me being on the council. The vote had gone 6-1, no. 5-2, no. 4-3, no. There will be another vote soon. And I don't feel like, with the numbers we have accurate data to represent our town and the views of our town. And as a council member, my job and our job as a council of 7 is to represent our town. And it's not my job to be my opinion to represent all of the citizens of this town. So I'm bringing this forth to all of council to say, we missed an election that we could have had a vote. Let's create a survey, and we have come up with a couple of different ways that we can do that, where we have a number ballot and 1 ballot per household, not per person, 1 ballot per household with a number on it, so that only one, they cannot be duplicated, they cannot be skewed, and then they have to turn back into city council. They're not attached, or turn back into city hall. They're not attached with any other bills or anything else, because people do online, people do everything else. You missed it. The most accurate way to make sure that every citizen, no matter whether they're a voter or not, actually gets a say in this topic, because it is such a divisive topic for our town. And I really feel, I have kids of my own. I work in the school system. I fully hear every one of your concerns, and I have them of my own. That is not why I'm bringing this forth. It is just to make sure that we're representing, as a council, our citizens. So with that being said, we did have fines that were collected, and we have money that we would be able to support doing this to get an accurate picture of what our citizens want. And so that's why we brought it forth for a discussion tonight, for council to decide if they would like to have accurate information before we go and have another vote up here as a council. That is why I brought it forth tonight. So,
Mr. Alderman.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Leading into that, part of my life people don't know about me. I'm living what you're talking about right now. My oldest son lives on the streets of Longview, addicted to fentanyl and heroin. It did not start with marijuana, it started with alcohol. I was on my way to work and I got a call from a paramedic friend of mine. He just picked up my son dead, but they brought him back. And it started with alcohol. He was not a pot smoker. He tried it, wasn't for him. But that being said, when I took this position, when I applied, stood right there and applied and interviewed in front of this council, I told myself, I am not going to be like the people in Washington, D.C., because I don't believe they listen to the public. And if I do that here, I will consider myself a hypocrite. This is not a vote on to legalize it or not. I want to know what the people of this town that I grew up in, that I love more than any place in the world, I want to speak for them like I said I was going to. Not like the folks in Washington, D.C. say they're going to, they're not going to. But just know, I hear everything you're saying, and I agree with it. But this is not the whole town of Woodland. Thank you.
I have a question.
Mrs. Holland.
So how much, I have a couple questions. How much would creating this survey system cost
so
total? Do we know?
So when discussing with Mr. Boyce, we roughly said around 3,000. Not exactly sure on numbers because we weren't sure where council would go.
Who's we? You
Mr.
and-
Boyce
Well,
and
You and Ms.
So,
okay.
so that's an estimate on what a mailing would cost.
Okay.
I don't think we factored staff time into that. It was just how much the postage would be. So it's kind of a back of an envelope figure, but I think it's a pretty good range to say that if we mailed something to every residence in town, we'd be right around the $3,000 mark.
So if you were let's just say you wanted to do a special, like a special election advisory vote, which is what I think happened during Chief Graham, maybe?
No,
It was,
Okay.
it was 2015.
Okay, so, how much would that be? Do you, I know elections, it's
You know,
whatever
I'm
they
not
feel
really
like.
sure, and it depends on how many other items are on the ballot also. You know, I could call the county and get some numbers.
Do you want me to answer that one, Mr. Boyce?
If
That-
you
it's,
can.
It's very fresh in my mind.
Sure.
2016 when we got here.
Right.
It was $50,000.
Yeah. It's a lot.
For the advisory vote, because it was the only thing that was on the ballot at that time. The county wasn't able to give us an estimate. They said, we'll send you the bill, and that was the bill. We didn't have a choice, we had to pay it, so.
Nice.
It's
And
very
then-
upsetting.
It's significant, that's why.
Survey sounds pretty good.
That's why we were going that way.
And then my,
Let me follow that up.
Okay.
Unless you do it during a regular election
Election
cycle, because then it's spread throughout everyone who has something on the ballot.
correct. And then, my other note to myself was, I think the things you're referencing that council voted on were zoning, because there was a permanent moratorium voted in October 2019. So it was a permanent moratorium on retail marijuana was voted in by a previous council before I got elected in October 2019.
By council?
Correct.
Okay.
October 2019.
Okay.
The things you're talking about, I think, are zoning
Okay.
issues. Am I correct, Mr. Boyce?
I believe so.
Yeah, because it was, yeah. That was just before I got elected. That was like, they had, the history behind it, because you, is that they had a moratorium, and it was like every 6 months, they had to extend it. And then they finally came to a conclusion over several years that they would make a permanent moratorium. And then, gosh, when Jennifer Heffernan was still a council member is when they did a moratorium on medicinal marijuana and collective gardens. That, if I remember, is that correct? Yes. So that was 2017? Yeah, around 2017.
Okay.
So just.
Okay,
Ju-
I just had
just
sat with
to-
Mr. Goddard, and this was the information that was before I lived here, so I was
But
trying to
that's-
get.
But it's kind of a, I don't wanna say misleading, but you're referencing votes on zoning,
Okay.
not previous council's votes on moratoriums, because the city has always had a moratorium on retail marijuana since it became legalized in the state. It just always has. Yeah.
But because of council, not because of anything that was voted on by the town.
Maybe Councilmember Burke might remember. That was kind of
There's
back
never
in
been an
your-
election.
in your time.
Yeah, it happened during our time.
So what, your question is, has it ever gone onto a ballot?
There's never been
No.
anything on a
Not that-
ballot
not
where
that
the
we're
people
aware
have
of.
actually had their opinion on this.
No. No.
I don't know, I don't trust surveys, who gets it, you know, in the family, so who's gonna fill it out and stuff like that. I know it's expensive, but an advisory vote's $50,000, like you said, but how fast do we need to do it?
Point of order.
Mr. Storr, where council is discussing now, you've had your moment, thank you. There's an application in process now, and this will come before a vote. I understand that sounds like there's two separate things that are going here. There is a process that is going now. It will show up before Planning Commission next month, and then it will come to council for a vote sometime in November. You're also asking for a survey to take a temperature of the community to see where they are. Are you asking for that to occur and be tallied before this item comes to council, or are you asking to go into a survey that will ask the community to want to vote on it as a whole and take it out of council's hands?
I'm asking for a survey before council makes another decision on this topic.
Okay.
Because I think that we need a better understanding of what our citizens are asking of us before we make a decision on our own accord.
Mr. Smith.
I appreciate that you guys want to have a survey. I really do. I'm not against a survey, but in order to have a fair survey, that's going to be the challenge. You're talking one vote per household. I have 2 registered voters in my house, and I don't think you're going to get a full, accurate assessment of that. So if we want to do a survey, I think we put our walking legs on and we go door to door and we start doing a survey, and we go from there. And I would be more than happy to trust the people that are up here who go out and do a survey to relay that info back. But as far as sending it out for people to vote on, I think that's going to be an absolute nightmare, and I think it's going to create more headaches than it's worth.
Thank you. Mr. Alderman.
Touch on his point, talking about us up here taking our own little survey. I started it months ago on my own because I did not want to make the decision. I want to vote for what the people vote. And I have asked not only people who live in city limits, but they live out of city limits, because what we do in this city affects people that are more than just live in city limits. And let me tell you, folks, times are changing. I'm not going to tell anybody at this point in time, because I've been asked numerous times, podcasts, other places, what my tally is at this point in time, because I'm not done. Times are changing.
Mr. Burke.
I think if we're taking a survey, we take it from the people that live in the city. That's what we're voting on, the people in the city, not outside the city, you know, inside the city.
Well, you take what you want.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should be. We represent the city people.
but what we do here also affects every resident.
Don't matter.
It does matter.
Well, I think we're voted on by the residents of the city, so I think first and foremost, we have to answer to the people who vote us in this position. So I think we need to answer to them first.
Mr. Smith?
We talk about city and county. I think the pot shop could probably be opened in the county as well. And it would come completely out of our hands at that point. So if the people in the county want to go raise issues to their elected representatives because a shop was opened here, they can do that. But right now we're talking about what's done in the city.
Right.
And what's moving forward right now.
Absolutely agree, but it's been brought up numerous times where it's at. And don't, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
Don't think,
no, I'm not attacking you.
but it's been brought up numerous times, excuse me, where kids can see it. The kids are coming out of city limits, coming down the river and driving down Lewis River Road. It's been brought up. So we need to think about the citizens of Woodland. If we're gonna take that into account, we're gonna take it, use it in testimony. Either, if we're gonna use it in testimony, let's take it in everything.
Portland, they come in too.
Okay, so I'm back to, so we're, what are, I'm still confused because there's a permanent moratorium on retail marijuana in the city of Woodland that was enacted in October 2019. What are we proposing to do with this? You said we will be voting on a zoning thing, maybe, is that what?
In November. No, not maybe. There will be something coming forward. Oh, Mr. Goddard's not, I'm looking for Mr. Goddard, and he's not here.
I know, he picked the wrong meeting
He's
tonight.
bringing the process forward to allow the operation to be allowed
Inside city limits.
Inside city
Because
limits.
currently it
That's
is
what the
zoned
vote will
for in
To zone for it.
L1 or something in the county.
Mr. Mayor,
Who's that?
Hi.
Travis.
Oh,
Travis Goddard.
oh yes, Mr. Goddard. Thank you. I didn't see that you were on here.
God has spoken.
All right. Oh, please. Mr. Goddard.
Goddard, yes. There is going to be a planning commission discussion of this on the third Thursday of October, and it will come to you on November 20th with a recommendation from the planning commission. But they are requesting a zone change that would make it a permitted use in the city commercial zone.
Thank you for clarifying that. I was trying to get there, but you said it much better than I did.
So, Mr. Goddard, what zone is retail marijuana in Woodland 98674 permitted?
So it is prohibited in all zones currently. But the request is that highway commercial would be changed to permitted.
But outside city limits, but still in the 98674 zip code, it is zoned for what?
Oh, sorry, I am not sure how the county regulates retail sales.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask Travis a question?
I'm talking to your laptop like he's there.
Yeah, no.
Can I ask Travis a question?
Mr. Smith. I'm deferring to you.
Mr. Goddard, are you still on there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
I know that we brought this up at the last vote as far as one of the issues I had was like selective zoning and trying to kind of put it in an area where so right now it's in commercial everywhere, and there's no way to try to break it down to narrow the area where we'll allow it. Is that?
So there are standards in the state that say it can't be within a certain distance of, say, childcare, schools, bus stops, school bus stops, those and parks. So those are laid out in the state code and in the city code. So if you look on the city's website, there is a map which shows where they are not permitted. And so our only option would be to pick a zone or select a zone, in this case, highway commercial, which is our C2 zone. And that is the request to have it allowed in the C2 zone. But it would only be in the portions of the C2 zoning that meets the map and the prohibitions by the state law.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Alderman.
Two-part question. Mr. Goddard, since you're on there. You just said it was, it couldn't be around school bus stops, right? Doesn't the school bus stop at every end of every street in the city of Woodland? So that just covers that. It can never be allowed in the city of Woodland, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the full distance is from the school bus stops, but the known locations of schools and parks is mapped.
It's Mr. Storr can answer that question, it seems like.
1,000 feet from where my customers park, so they gotta walk up the side, up and out to the road, down the road, into it. I'm 1,000 feet away.
1,000 feet?
I'm 1,000 feet
From
from
Cherry,
from the school bus stop. You're asking about.
Not as the crow flies, as walking, not as the crow flies. Okay.
It's not just straight across. It's
I know.
out the park.
Okay, but Cherry Blossom Lane,
Over
right there.
1,000 feet.
Is it?
Over 1,000 feet. I checked it.
So I think the question you're asking is, it has to be 1,000 feet from any school bus stop.
Okay. Second
Not
part.
specifically to any issue right now, just 1,000 feet from any school bus stop.
Okay, second part of my question. So if there's already a moratorium put in place, is this count, so are we talking about overruling in a moratorium that's already?
When it comes back in November, and if the vote was a yes, that would go away and the code would then allow for that to occur. If the vote is no, it would stay as it is now.
I'm just trying, like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to get just gather all the information I can.
Effectively, you can rezone whatever.
Right.
But this body of government has to overturn previous council's moratorium. And then if you want to also, or the future body of this government, I guess, I'm sounding like Councilmember Fredericks. This.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So, there's also a moratorium on medicinal marijuana. There's a moratorium on collective gardens where folks with medicinal cards can grow a garden collectively and share in that. So there's moratoriums on those as well. I think there might be one on growing and distribution.
I think we allow, Mr. Goddard, correct me if I'm wrong, we allow distribution and manufacturing inside the city, just not the retail portion.
Production and processing has always been permitted.
Okay.
And technically, I need to correct that we are not currently under a moratorium. We went from repeating moratoriums to just changing the code so that collectives are prohibited in the city. So we had a moratorium for multiple years, but you corrected that in 2019 when you prohibited it outright.
Well, that would be Councilmember Rounds. She's the only one, I think, Monty, you might have been part of that council.
I think yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so, okay.
And then, Mr. Goddard, as Mrs. Holland was speaking, what is exactly going to the Planning Commission? Is it everything that she just listed out, or just the retail sales only?
Just retail sales in the C2 zone, I believe it is.
So the collective gardens and all of that other items that potentially could be changed is not part of that application?
It is not part of that request.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to see, if we're gonna do a survey, then let's put medicinal use. I mean, if this body of government decides to craft a survey that is disseminated to the public, then I would suggest that we hammer out all of it. You get medicinal, so currently there's a moratorium on retail, right? But what about medicinal? A medicinal distributor is different than a retail distributor, correct?
I believe so. Mr. Goddard?
According to Mr. Goddard, there's no more moratorium, we wouldn't wait.
Well, that's on collective gardens. That was on the collective gardens. Is it, Mr. Goddard, does it also encompass medicinal
No,
distributors?
it's, if I remember correctly, it's a prohibition on retail sales regardless of the purpose. The collective gardening had to do with people who were getting together to grow it for medicinal purposes.
Gotcha.
And the decision was no grow operations because they were allowed in multiple zones, including the residential zone. So you could get together with 4 of your neighbors and set up one garage full of pot plants that would be used for medicinal purposes.
What started the whole conversation, if folks remember the folks that showed up due to a garage operation that was occurring. That's how that whole conversation came up. The state was changing the
remember
rules
that.
on that,
Okay.
and it all kind of
I remember when that gal
coincided
came
during
in.
during a council meeting.
That happened in Meriwether, and it directly impacted all the houses around them, to where that's all they smelt all day long was pot.
And the lights and stuff.
But that's not part of what will be coming forward. I guess just to kind of stay on topic.
Yeah, the topic is a vote, I think, right?
What's that?
The topic is a vote, whether we're gonna send it to a vote. Is that what we're?
To create
No,
So
it's
we
a
need
survey.
to
Creating a
know
survey?
if we want to create a survey to get the temperament of the city.
I need to know what this body wants what wants my office to do.
Well, I mean, cool, I'll have a survey, but I feel like you need to have all the thingies, not just the one thingy.
Okay.
So create a survey and present the survey to us? Is that what we're?
Right.
Okay.
And send it to the survey for a vote from us first?
Well, and then we have to approve the cost, right?
Yeah.
The money's there.
If
The
there's,
money's not the issue for the survey.
The money is there.
Yeah, that still takes a vote. Money can be there, it still takes a vote.
Okay.
Make an amendment.
It sounds like there's a consensus for survey.
No, there isn't.
There is, Mr. Hall.
I haven't spoken on this.
Yes.
I don't believe in surveys.
Right.
The surveys and polls are always slanted toward the pollster's opinion. There's no way Mr. Smith pointed this out, there's no way you're gonna get an accurate
Right.
survey or poll.
And I'm against the survey as well.
And
I just, yeah.
Okay.
I'm ambivalent, because it sounds like I feel like I'm probably the wrong person to say it, but just because 125 people comment on a post on Facebook, is that necessarily what directs our actions? Is kind of why we tell people to come to meetings, is so that
Well, my reasoning for doing this was based on a vote of what was done when allowing it to be legalized in the state, and I feel like that is where people have been told that Woodland was a hard no, and I don't feel like we have any data beyond that was 11 years ago. And I just feel like we need more accurate data of today's temperament of our town, because a lot has changed in our town and in our state in those 11 years. And I just think that before making any further decisions on this topic, it is best for our town and for our council to be making decisions based on more accurate and up-to-date. Just like we did for our transportation and everything, we're looking at taxes that are way out of date. This information's out of date, and we need more up-to-date information for this, just like we do updated rates. That is why I'm bringing it forward.
I would consider an advisory vote, but not a survey.
Okay.
there's more to this
So
too.
what's-
Go ahead.
Okay, advisory vote that tells us what the citizens want. The survey is, you know, somebody answered it, who, we don't know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I lean more to the advisory vote. It does cost money.
Here's the problem as I
If
see
we're gonna
it,
do something, do it right.
if I can speak to it.
You remember?
We were selected to these positions as the city fathers or mothers, as the case may be, charged with the responsibility of guiding the direction of this city. That includes protecting this city, protecting its community values, protecting its citizens, and most of all, protecting its children. That's our responsibility. That's responsibility we need to shoulder. We don't stick our finger in the, lick it and stick it in the air and take a political wind view. That's not how we do business. We're charged with the responsibility, and we need to not abrogate that responsibility. We need to be making sound-minded, reasonably prudent decisions based on the evidence. And we've heard the evidence. I mean, you can see and hear what the evidence is. This is not good for children. It is not good for the community. It's not good for our people. Most of all, it's not good for children. It's not something we need to do. We need to make a decision to say, no, we don't want marijuana retail sales in this city. That's our responsibility to make that decision, not the poll of the, I mean, it's like if I get a little girl with a butterfly net and she's chasing butterflies and she says, Mama, can I see some butterflies out there in the street. Can I go chase those? It would be considered child abuse if the parent said, well, why don't you get all the kids in the neighborhood and we'll take a survey of them. If they all want to play in the street, you can go play in the street. That would be absurd. A responsible, prudent parent would take the child by the hand, walk them to the front of the car, and say, look at those butterflies that are in the grill of that car. That's what happens when you play in the street. Those butterflies were all playing in the street. And that's what will happen to you if you play in the street. We don't take a survey when we're held responsible for these decisions. It's up to us. We're the ones that should be saying no. No, it's not good for our community. It's not good for our people. And most of all, it's not good for our kids. The thing is, if you care about kids, if we care about kids, if we work with kids in the school, if we work with kids in sports programs, if we work in faith-based programs with kids, then we can't say that we care about kids on the one hand, out that side of our mouth, and say we want to license retail marijuana sales out of the other side of our mouth. That is totally antithetical, and it's hypocritical. And if we can't see the difference, then we should be ashamed, because we have a responsibility to make this decision, to stand up for what's right, to stand up for what is good for our kids in the future, to protect our children, not to be turning it over to a political wind. That's all I'm going to say.
I think this election
Mr. Alderman.
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with you. We were appointed to be on this council to listen to our constituents and to act upon what the taxpayers of this city want. I'm not saying I'm for this. Personally, my opinion of it, I don't like it. But it's not just about me. It's about the taxpayers of the city of Woodland, the ones we're supposed to represent. We're not up here to be the city fathers. We're supposed to be like the people in Washington, D.C. We are supposed to represent the city and taxpayers of Woodland and do their wishes with the best information we can. And that's what all this is a fact-finding mission. If you rather go for advisory vote, I don't care how we do it. Let's see what the whole city wants.
It's a wrong course of action.
That's-
You are the devil's advocate. You said it yourself.
That's your opinion.
Yes, you said it.
Did you have something else, Mr. Smith?
I don't
I
even
agree.
know if I want to talk now.
Okay.
I'll say one
You
more.
gave your hand up.
I'll
so-
say one more.
Okay.
I completely understand where Councilmember Hall is coming from, and I also understand where Councilmember Alderman is coming from. And I sit back and I say the same thing. If I start talking to my kids about marijuana and whether I think they should use it or not, it's going to be a no. Point blank. I can't disregard that. It's going to be a point blank no. Now, when they get to a certain age and they've got a career on path and they can effectively do marijuana, have a good career, and want to choose that route when they're older, then by all means they have that choice. Now, at what age they want to do that, I'm going to stress that you make sure you get a career on path. A younger child, I'm going to 100% say do not do it. It is not worth it. Same thing with alcohol. I'm going to stress that they don't do it. And any one of those can take away a career. Now, when it comes to marijuana, it's not federally legal at this point. I personally have a CDL, and I get drug tested randomly, and pot would fail me, and I would lose my career right now. So I will also stress that to my kids as you have a chance of limiting your career opportunities by doing marijuana right now. So make the choice not to do it till it is fully legal at that point, and then when the feds legalize it, we can have this discussion again, and we can go from there.
I feel like we're sharing. That's kind of what I feel like.
We're definitely sharing.
We're sharing, and I just,
The topic is on.
okay, I'm gonna say it. So both of my parents are now deceased, so, I was an incredible disappointment when I was a freshman. I don't remember 1984. I literally do not. So the next time somebody calls me a boomer, no, but I don't remember 1984. I failed pretty much everything my freshman year, and I paid for that the next 3 years so I could graduate on time. I appreciate that Mr. and Mrs. Flanagan, my former teachers, are here. But all we ever had to do in school was go to school to get high. Literally all you had to do. We just went to school, and it's now not the red building, the community building. You just showed up, and you'd get baked and go into school. That was school here. I don't know if that's changed, but because that was my experience, we raised our kids very differently. So, I mean, I don't want to be hypocritical either, but it's this, all we ever get, the only thing that's ever come before me as a council member has been zoning. And that's it, because a permanent moratorium was put into place before I was elected. And so I literally don't have an opinion on it. It's always been zoning. And there's a reason there's zoning issues, like, will it cause a traffic hazard? You know, there's a reason things are where they are. And again, I'm cool. If y'all wanna have an advisory vote, I'm cool with that. I'm cool if you wanna have a survey, if that helps people make decisions later. I'm cool with it. I'm tired of this conversation. I will have been here, I'm here 3.5 years, since I was elected, and this is all we talk about. And I'd kinda like at some point for it to go to bed. So, so there, I have confessed my misspent youth. My daddy is rolling over in his grave right now, but, yeah, so I get it, everybody's got their own thing, I'm so over, me personally, I'm so over this conversation, I'm so over it. But there you go, I'm gonna stay quiet now.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Ms. Dowdy.
Okay.
Mrs. Dowdy.
Okay, so I think my question would be, if we go to a advisory vote, and that is the way that this group decides, how soon could an advisory vote actually take place?
February.
And if that is the case, then the November or later, can you push those decisions until a vote is taken place?
I personally,
Because-
my office won't be pushing any vote. That would be council that would do. This is coming to you
Well,
on
I'm
November
asking
20th.
that because I really feel like without data, it is hard to have a decision representative of our town's opinion of the topic without data of some sort. And so,
I understand that. I just want to make it clear to everybody that's listening that there's a process in place.
I got it. So
And
council,
this will be coming. I'm not stalling
so
the
council,
process.
can council push it until?
When it comes to November 20th, you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
So you can make a
And-
different body of government make the decision, because there will be new people.
Which
in-
absolutely, I understand that. But, okay.
I just say that because I've been accused of stalling things, and I just
No,
there's
and
a
that
process
is not,
in place,
and that's
and
really.
this is the process.
I mean, and that is reason of why I said a survey, because I really feel like this is something coming to council, and there needs to be some sort of data. So, in my opinion, that is why I'm bringing it forward, is because I think council needs to have an accurate view. And I do hear you, but I don't like being questioned on where my values are, because I am very strong in my values and where I raise my
Apparently
family.
not. Apparently not.
No, you're wrong. But my job is to the citizens of this town as well. And I took this on because I care about this town so much. But I also do the roles that I do for the children of this town because I care so much about the youth of this town. So much that I do not like the way that came across. So I will agree to disagree with you, but I want you to know that this is not because I agree with a pot shop being in town, because I absolutely do not agree with a pot shop being in town. But I think we need, as a council, to make a informed decision when we're voting. And if we're voting on information we do not have information on, we are not doing our jobs. That is why. And this could be a topic completely not pot associated. I would still feel that we need to have accurate data in front of us to make an informed decision before any vote. And that is where I stand on that. So I will agree to disagree with you, but I will tell you, I am not doing this because of what it is. I'm doing it because I believe that we need data to back up our decisions, and we are responsible for that data. So I come forth to all of you as council to ask, do you want data sooner than later? Or do you want an advisory vote? Or do you want nothing? We need to make a decision. We've now talked on the topic for an hour, and I know nobody wants to continue doing it. But again, Deanna has said she's talked about it for 3.5 years and she's done. Without data, I don't think this topic's going away.
That's fair. Mr. Smith?
As far as the sending the vote out, like we were talking, I'm not okay with that. If we want to have the discussion about an advisory vote and we want to put that before council once we know the cost of everything and we can vote to send it out to an advisory, then we can definitely have that conversation. Now, will we get that info back in time to have it on the November and have a discussion and have the appropriate information back? No. But we can table that vote until then if we want to, when we actually have the info. Or we can decide to take action. It's our choice. We as a council have the decision, and we can decide yes or no on it at that time, or we can vote to table it.
How long can we table something?
It just needed a date. The council will state there must be a date similar to the
So
one
it's
that
a year
was.
from now?
If
I mean,
that's
just-
what council wants, that's council's decision, not mine. I don't get a vote.
So,
we can pull some numbers for advisory vote. They're not, it's going to be an estimate because Cowlitz County does not provide a accurate number. And we can certainly, if this is the consensus for, and I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but we'll have to budget for that through this budget cycle in order for that to be accounted for in 2024. I will tell you the last estimate 9 years ago, was $50,000.
It is incredibly expensive to hold an election by itself.
But it's possible the school could be jumping on with another advisory vote as well, and we could
and
hop
they are
on to that.
supposed to have one.
So it would reduce the cost, but I don't know what that cost would be. I would estimate $50,000.
Okay. Could we have a vote next council, or a action item next council on
For?
an advisory vote with,
There's a process that's in place, and there are dates that it has to get to, similar to the dates that we had for August. I think it was August 1st or 2nd this year, had to be to the elections office, so we can pull those dates and bring those forward.
You have to have a nominee yet.
What's that?
Don't you have to have a nominee yet, person?
Yeah,
for the
all of that will
voter
come, but
pamphlet, yeah.
there's a time that you have to identify that you would like to put something on a ballot within, and we'll get those timelines for you.
I think you're saying
put an action.
whether we actually want to send it to a ballot or not, you want to do
Yes,
it by next.
I would say
next
we
meeting.
probably need to move sooner than later to get something even for February.
If that's the direction, I just need,
I mean, I don't sound, it
no-
doesn't sound like the majority is saying yes to a survey, so I
That's
think-
correct.
well,
That's what I'm identifying.
I mean, I'm seeing more no's than yeses, so I'm seeing advisory is the only way people are willing to go at this point.
And there will be something from others on the ballot in February.
I don't think we need to spend $50,000 to know that marijuana is not good to be sold in our city. I don't think we need that. I think that's a waste of money.
And that's, I think we have to have that discussion, and we can vote it down at that point too.
Anything else? All right, I think we got our marching orders, so, all right. If there's nothing else, it's 9:08, and we are out of a workshop and at the end of our meeting.
Motion to end the meeting.
Move to end the meeting?
Moved by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Dowdy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. The time is now 9:08. Thank you.
No, we know where you.
Oh,
I'm going to give you a big old hug.
thank you.